Blank Dieters! So in this video, we want to talk about signs of food addiction, and we want to talk about what you can do to help a loved one who is actually suffering from food addiction. That's what we're talking about today. Let's get into the video. Welcome back, Blank Dieters. Thank you so much to all my returning subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you are a newcomer, welcome. Remember to complete the ritual that makes you family and click the subscribe button down below. Also, click the notification bell so you are notified every time that I upload a new video. Like, share with your family and friends. Leave me a comment down below so I can also respond and have a discussion with you. Add some more knowledge about the topic that we're talking about today. So, as I mentioned before, today we're talking about food addiction signs, symptoms. How do you know that you or your loved one is suffering from food addiction? So, researchers at Yale University came up with a questionnaire to identify people who are suffering from food addiction. So, here are a few of the questions that may help you to maybe assess yourself to see if you are suffering from food addiction. Maybe you are suspecting that you may have food addiction. How do you know? Like, okay, I just like to eat, or now I'm really going towards the addiction that we spoke about in the previous video. So, I don't know. I'm just going to give you a little bit of some of the questions, and then you can decide if they apply to you. So, number one question: do you end up eating more than you planned when you start eating certain foods? Let's say maybe you said, I'm just going to have one candy bar. Do you end up eating 4 or 5? Or let me just have 3 scoops of ice cream. Do you end up eating the whole tub of ice cream, the whole pint of ice cream? Do you find that it's hard for you to stop once you start eating certain food? Hey, let me grab 3 Doritos, or let me grab 3 Lay's, and then you eat the whole bag. That's the number one question. And if you are in that bracket, you may want to keep on going with the question so you find out if you're really in the category of people who are addicted to food. So the next question is, do you keep on eating certain foods even if you're not hungry? I know that personally, I do this all the time, okay? I suffer from this. A lot of people suffer from this. Sometimes when you are under stress, or when you feel like you're overworked, you want something to kind of just, release that dopamine in your brain. So you just end up eating even if you're not hungry. Or if you're bored, you feel like, I'm not hungry, but let me get some popcorn and watch a movie. Or I'm not really hungry, but I want something to pass the time. Or sometimes this happens a lot. And I even saw it happening with my daughter. I had to have a talk with her the other day. She says, it's lunchtime. So you're eating not because you're hungry, but because it's lunchtime. So that's kind of how you need to assess. Do you find yourself eating even if you know I'm not hungry? I ate 2 hours ago, or even if I ate 4 hours ago, I'm still full. I should probably wait until a moment where I feel like I'm hungry, then I should eat. You don't have that kind of discipline to eat only when you're hungry. The next question is, do you find yourself eating to a point of feeling ill? Have you ever eaten food until you just felt sick? And I'm not talking about maybe you overate at Thanksgiving or on Christmas Day, or you had too much birthday cake and then you end up, no. I'm talking about this happens more often than not. You find yourself eating. Every time you eat, you have to feel ill to a point where you either vomit, or you go to the bathroom, you have an upset stomach, running stomach, or you have heartburn, or you have, flatulence. You have all these different things that are side effects of overeating. If you find yourself a lot of the times when you're eating, if you realize that most of the time you end up feeling sick, yeah, that's a problem right there. I remember seeing My 600-Pound Life, and to be honest, that show is just like a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call to realize how much damage that food can do to somebody who was, some of these people used to be doctors, some of these people used to be actors, dancers, people who have dreams, but then they let go of those dreams because of an addiction. Even when they're sick, even when they feel like there's something wrong with my stomach, they still continue eating. So you need to assess yourself. Do you eat to a point where you feel like, okay, now I'm feeling ill? The next question is, do you worry about not eating or cutting back on certain types of foods? Like, I know I went through this. I'm not saying I'm addicted to food. I'm just saying when I start thinking about healthy eating, I think, oh my God, I have to stop eating such a food and such a food and such a food. And that kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety. And you can imagine for someone with a food addiction, food is their drug. So they feel like that's a part of them. I'm always going to give this example of my 600-pound life. When they go to the doctor and they're told, you need to stop eating fried food, you need to stop eating sugar, you need to stop eating salt, the first thing they think of is, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? Because they feel like the food had become a part of them and now they need it. It's like they need it to survive. But the reality is you don't need sugar, you don't need salt, you don't need to eat fried food every day to survive. You can totally eat baked food, which is equally as good. You can swap out different foods. Like I have a video that I did of foods that you can swap out for those unhealthy snacks, like, potato chips. You can swap them out for popcorn. I'm going to put the video right here. But if you find yourself worried, and when I say worried, I mean like hyperventilating and, thinking, what am I going to do if I have to stop eating this food? That means you may really be suffering from food addiction. The next question you need to ask yourself is, when certain foods are not available, do you find yourself going out of your way to go and get those foods? The only time that I remember really being like this is when I was pregnant, feeling like I have to have this. So I would send, people, I would ask maybe my mom, can you please get me this? Or I would ask my husband, would be constantly just driving out, going and looking for something that I'm craving for. Or I would actually get in the car myself and just go and just try to find that thing. That's kind of similar, I guess, to someone with a food addiction. If they feel like I want a McDonald's burger in the middle of the night, they will find try to find a McDonald's where they can get that food. That is addiction right there. That's why people who suffer from addiction, let's say cocaine addictions, they end up being homeless because they sell everything they have. They don't go to work anymore because all they're looking for is the next fix. They sell their possessions. They sell their cars. I know one guy who actually ended up selling his girlfriend. The girlfriend actually, but they were both addicted to cocaine. So what they would do is the girl was a prostitute. She would go and she would sell herself and get money so they could both get high. So it's the same thing with food addiction. When you find yourself willing to do anything to get a certain type of food, I need to go across town because I can't find the ice cream that I like at my local grocery store. Or there's no sugar anywhere. There's no sugary stuff anywhere. I have to go find the next Krispy Kreme. I have to go find this Dunkin' Donuts. I have to find this. I have to go find this. That's when you may start to get like an idea that, okay, maybe I may have a problem here. Okay, so the questionnaire also asks about the impact of food on your personal relationship. So you may want to answer this part too. So ask yourself if these situations that I'm going to mention apply to you. You may find yourself in a situation where you're eating either a certain type of food so often or in large quantities that you swap that for spending time with your family, working, or doing other recreational activities. You prefer staying home and eating as opposed to going out with your family, or even going for a job interview, or running your business. If you find yourself in that situation, that may be a telltale sign that you are addicted to food. Another situation is you find yourself avoiding like work gatherings, social activities, social gatherings, family, let's say weddings and parties, because you're afraid that maybe they will have the best food that you like, maybe fried food, sweets, and then you end up avoiding those gatherings because you're afraid of overeating. That may also be a sign of addiction. I'm not saying that it's bad, but it may be a sign that you don't have that control to be around those type of foods. You know that if you're around any person cooking fried food or barbecuing or doing all that stuff, you know you're going to overeat. So you just end up avoiding those situations altogether. Another situation is you end up not functioning effectively at your job because of food and eating. Okay, either because you're looking for food, or maybe you overate and you feel sleepy, or because of a side effect of you overeating. Let's say you have heartburn. Now you can't concentrate, especially if you work at a job where you need your mind to constantly be alert. Let's say, those people, what do you call them? The people that work in the air, like air traffic controllers and stuff like that, you need to be alert. But if you find yourself, because of food, you cannot be alert in such a job, yeah, that's a problem right there that needs to be addressed. So the questionnaire also asks about certain psychological withdrawal symptoms. When you cut down on certain foods, and this is excluding caffeinated drinks and teas and stuff like that. We're talking about real food, like, fatty foods, sugary foods, or salty food. When you cut down on certain food, do you find yourself experiencing certain withdrawal symptoms like anxiety, agitation, and maybe other physical symptoms that are normally more commonly associated with addiction? So, yeah, that's it with that questionnaire. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know down below. Let me know your answers to some of these questions down below. Do you think you're addicted to food based on the questionnaire? I thought we were going to include, how to help someone who is suffering from food addiction in this video, but I don't want it to be too long. So we'll talk about that in the next video. That's all I have for you today. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Till the next video. Bye.